Hello and welcome to the Voice of the Global South. The recent visit of India's Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi to Ukraine can be summarized as a big dampener. There was a lot of excitement, and people have put a lot of trust on this visit. There were a lot of hopes around finding a common solution, a common ground where Russia and Ukraine can meet together and broker a peace. But unfortunately, the event was a big dampener and also an eye opener for India as well. Before I give my analysis on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Ukraine, I would like to give you a sequence of event what has happened, in his 3 day visit. Um, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Poland preceded the visit to Ukraine. In Poland, he stayed there for 2 days. This was the first time any Indian Prime Minister has visited Poland. Although the ties between Poland and India is old, Poland was a communist country till 1989, and in 1989, the Poland Republic has adopted the democratic form of the government, and there was a diplomatic tie between India and Poland for a long time. But no other prime minister has visited Poland in its modern avatar, in its modern form of democracy. Uh, Poland and India has been sharing a great cultural relation right from the at least from the World War, where the royal kingdom of Navanagar and Kolhapur in Maharashtra of India, they have given shelter to 5,000 Polish women and children during the World War II. And as a result, Poland was magnanimous enough to commemorate a memorial for these two kings, and not only that, they have also honored by passing a unanimous resolution in Parliament honoring these two gentlemen. So Poland has always been very grateful about India's help during the World War II, and India and Poland were having a very, I would say, a very people-to-people good relation. There are a lot of Indian diaspora who live in Poland, and India's trade with Poland has been increasing since 2014 when it was 1.9 billion dollar, and right now the trade is somewhere around 5.2 billion dollar. So we have seen a 300% or 3x jump between in the past 10 years. That's a great achievement, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Poland was to strengthen the cultural ties, to strengthen the friendship in the Central European nation, and also to dehyphenate the four big European nations, which has been always a matter of discussion in India and across the world. France, Germany, these kind of nations, Italy, and so on. So this is the first time Prime Minister Narendra Modi wanted to get into the Central European nation, and boost a great trade ties, and also get some kind of a help from a defense perspective, because Poland is having a lot of experience in maintaining the Soviet era weapons that India used a lot. So Poland can definitely lend his hands towards that, and India recognizes the fact, and India is also very keen to have a very good relation, a bilateral relation, a more friendly relation. President Sebastian Duda and Prime Minister Donald Tusk. Uh, if I remember it correctly, Modi referred Prime Minister Donald Tusk as his great friend. So again, Modi is bringing his a personal touch to the foreign diplomacy, which he has been using very often wherever he goes, whichever nation he goes to. So that is something which was pretty much evident. Unfortunately, a lot of the media has covered and more excitement for his visit to Ukraine rather than Poland. But we should not forget the fact that he stayed 2 days in Poland and 1 day in Ukraine. So definitely Modi has given a lot of preference to Poland, and uh, uh, and Poland is also very happy to see, very happy to meet Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There are a lot of discussion around defense, technology, agriculture, education, and I hope and we'll see all these discussion will be materializing in a better trade deal in times to come. After Modi concluded his Poland visit, Modi took Rail Force One, the train that goes to Kiev, because since 2022, after Russia's invasion to Ukraine, Uh, there is the whole area has been termed as no-fly zone, and all the dignitaries they normally take Rail Force One. This train was a luxurious train before the war, and after the war, it has been converted to bring the VIPs and dignitaries from the foreign nations in and out of Kiev. It took around 7 to 10 hours for Modi to reach to Poland, and once he reached Poland, he was received by the first deputy prime minister of Ukraine. After that, he has visited to AV Memorial Hall, which is a war memorial, which Ukraine government has has built to uh, in the memory of the kids or children who have been killed during the war between Ukraine and Russia. After that, there was Modi had a one-to-one meeting with Mr. Zelensky, and then after that there was a press conference by Ministry of External Affairs of India, Mr. Jaishankar, and followed by a press conference by Vladimir Zelensky. I would come to the details of all these things a little later. Uh, one thing we should note that this is the fourth time Narendra Modi is meeting Vladimir Zelensky. The first time when he met Vladimir Zelensky was in November 2021 in Glasgow. Uh, After that, he met Mr. Zelensky in 2023. And then this year, he met Zelensky when Modi had gone to Italy for G7 summit. And this is the fourth time he has met President Zelensky. In 2023, if you remember, Modi has given the famous statement that this is not the era of war, and he urged both the nations to come to the diplomatic table, have a conversation, a dialogue, and resolve the conflicting areas between the two. So he has advocated the peace, and being the only influential leader in the world right now who has a great connection with both with President Putin and President Zelensky. He was considered to be a best bet who can broker peace between who can broker a peace between Ukraine and Russia. Uh, and there was a lot of excitement, lot of hope, which people have pegged from this visit. And unfortunately, like I said, this visit has turned out to be a very dampener. Uh, right from the beginning, if you look at the first time when Modi met Mr. Zelensky, he had embraced him. Modi always believes in a very, I would say, in a very personal relation, forming a personal relation with the foreign counterparts. You can call it as a touch diplomacy or an embrace diplomacy, or whatever you can term it. But this is his characteristic feature of his foreign relation, which Modi has been, which he's been practicing and with every nation. And there were a lot of criticism which had happened when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had embraced Mr. Vladimir Putin during his Russia's visit, which happened just in the last month. In fact, Mr. Zelensky has termed that as an embrace by a world's largest democracy with the world's largest dictator and the bloodiest person of the earth or on the earth. So this embrace which had happened between Narendra Modi and Zelensky was primarily to tell him that this is how we greet, this is how we meet with the foreign nations, irrespective of our ideologies. And this was also reflected in one of the comments by Mr. Jaishankar to BBC reporter. When he also spoken about this thing, Mr. Jaishankar has almost chided him by saying that it is a part of our culture. It may not be part of your culture, but this is how we do that, and it is not something unique to Mr. Putin or Mr. Zelensky. It has been happening, for a long time, and this is something which is no secret. Everyone knows about it, and people have seen this, time and again. The other thing, if you look at the mood during when Modi visited the AV Memorial, the war memorial, the mood was very pensive. The mood was very somber, and it was primarily targeted. An effort from both the from both the foreign heads, from both the heads to actually tell the world the gravity of the situation, the painful environment of Ukraine. How general Ukrainians are feeling, by seeing the death of the kids, children, and so many deaths all around. So the idea was to send a message loud and clear to the world that there is definitely a gloomy atmosphere in Ukraine, and there is a war and there is a cost of war. The people are dying. So that kind of a message they wanted to send across, which they have been broadly successful. And this is how it has to be. And so there is. Nothing to analyze on that fact. It is just an observation, by the way. Apart from that, um, during the meeting of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he has reiterated the fact that he is not in favor of war, and he has also said it very clearly that he has tell this to President Putin in no ambiguous terms. He said that I have said to Mr. Putin by seeing to his eyes that the war must stop, and we should find ways for the peace and ceasefire, and we should respect the sovereignty of the other nation, the integrity of the other nation. I believe that was something which Modi was largely successful in conveying to Mr. Zelensky. Modi has also said that he is ready to offer himself, for any kind of a help that Ukraine thinks, that world thinks that he is that India is capable of playing. He is more than happy to do that. He also said that in case if I am required at my personal level, I am more than happy to do that. And he has highlighted and reiterated and underlined the fact that India will always be with Ukraine no matter what, and we are your trusted friend. So so far so good. India Modi was able to convince Ukrainian president that there is strategic autonomy that India is betting on, and India is definitely ready to find a peace between the two nations, provided there has to be some kind of an effort or intent from there to let India broker that peace, and also the willingness from their side to come to a negotiating table. However, I am sure that India has realized this time that any hope that Narendra Modi is going to help in breaking the in bringing both these two nations on the table, on the diplomatic table, is a futile effort. There are a few reasons for that. One is, of course, Modi has Mr. Zelensky is very particular about certain things, which he has also he has also talked about in his press briefing. He said he was not very happy that India is buying oil from Russia, and as per him, if India stop buying the oil from Russia, then Russia will be weakened, and the war economy which Russia has become is primarily fueled by the oil, and it is and if India stop importing oil from Russia, then that will be big help to Ukraine. Uh, However, that is one side of the story. India has counter President Mr. Jaishankar, the Minister of External Affairs. He has countered that by saying that in a separate press conference that there is nothing like an oil diplomacy. The oil strategy is not done at a political level. The oil strategy is done by the oil strategy itself. There is. If there's something which consider that India is a 1.4 billion population, there are a lot of restriction or constraints which USA has put on Iran and on Venezuela, which India was buying oil before the sanction. And India is one of the largest consumer of energy. So India has to meet, and India is not a very rich country, so India has to balance its need and its global diplomacy. So there has to be a balancing act, and so this is something which was kind of countered or spoken by Mr. Jaishankar in a very clear term that India has a very separate independent oil strategy, which has nothing to do with with the current situation or the war between Russia and Ukraine. By the way, tomorrow, or I'm recording this video at around 2020, Ukraine is celebrating its Independence Day, and that's why we are seeing this all these crackers in London. People are celebrating, and I also want to wish Ukraine a very a very happy independence, a very prosperous independence. May this Independence Day bring a lot of peace, wealth, uh, and progress to the average Ukrainian lives. I sincerely hope so. Hope so, and with me, I believe every Indian also hope the same. Now coming back to my analysis of certain things, and why I feel that this was a big dampener. Uh, so, like I said, Mr. Zelensky is actually clinging on the oil deal, and is trying to bring that oil deal between India and Ukraine relation, the oil deal between Russia and India, as a centerpiece of discussion between India and Ukraine. I believe India wants to India wants to hyphenate that, wants to keep them separate, and want to ensure that 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 is the strategic autonomy of India, and it should not bring in our discussion table when we are discussing the war between Russia and Ukraine. But there's a fascination, there's a persistence from the Ukrainian side about this whole deal, and they consider this as a big culprit. And this is one of the harsh reality which India has realized, that it is something which is a roadblocker for for India's role in mediating a peace between Ukraine and Russia. So that's point number one. Uh, a second thing is, India has spoken about. By the way, I forgot to mention that India has thanked Mr. Zelensky and also his Polish counterpart. During the war, when both Russia and Ukraine, they have stopped the war for a few hours, which actually enabled Indian students who were studying in Ukraine to come out of that war zone and reach to a safer place. Poland has given them a shelter, which India is very grateful of. Similarly, Modi has also talked about the Project Ganga, which is this is the name of the project of evacuating Indian students from Ukraine war zone. So Modi had expressed his gratitude to Zelensky for that. Now, the one thing is definitely oil. One thing is very clear about President Zelensky. He's a very charming guy. He's a very nice guy. I mean, I have no qualms. I have seen his press conference for the third time this time, and I've always found him a very easy, neighborhood kind of guy. He doesn't have any kind of any kind of baggage. He also wears a very casual dress. In G7, when everybody was wearing a very formal dress, he was wearing a very casual dress, and I've always seen him wearing casual dress. I believe that's a part of his personality, and that brings a lot of casualness in terms of his approach. He looks very friendly, very approachable. That's something, and looks like a very nice guy to me, and that's something which is very nice. This is something which is very charming, which is very attractive on President Zelensky. Now, India has also said that when a reporter were asking whether did Russian president has given some kind of message to Mr. Zelensky, and if there is something which India wants to add and want to talk about that. Mr. Jaishankar has said that our stand is public, and we have said whatever so he has not addressed this question directly, but he has said that our stand is very public about the whole issue, and we believe in the easy de-escalation of the situation. And he said that there are certain issues that he has actually flagged off to Zelensky, which is not in public domain. So I'm assuming that there is some issue that India has also spoken about to Mr. Zelensky. Whether that was something which India got a message, which India has got a message and relayed that message to got a message from Russia and relayed that message to Zelensky, is something which I'm not sure of. But I believe what India might have said, which I'm just thinking and assuming that India might have said to Ukraine that war is not a solution. Again, your country is not something. I mean, Ukraine is not a very rich country, by the way. The population is 38 million, and the GDP is around 160 billion dollar, less than 200 billion dollar, which is and the per capita income is around 4,000 or 5,000 USD US dollar, which is fairly low in comparison to other European nations. Although Ukraine is not part of European nation, but the other European nations, they are earning much more than what Ukraine is earning. So definitely, what Narendra Modi might have spoken to Mr. Zelensky is that, um, you know, if war does no good, and he might be also trying to understand if there's an exit from Mr. Zelensky's stated position that he's not going to stop the war. He's going to defend his sovereignty and his integrity of the country. Is there any exit? Is there any strategic exit that he can think of, that he can actually, which can work in favor, without saying that Mr. Zelensky has lost or Mr. Putin has lost? So is there a common ground? Is something that he can do? I'm sure these kind of thinking must be done. This kind of discussion must have been done between the two heads, and that will never come to the public domain, at least in the recent years, in the recent future. But I'm sure that when Jaishankar has said that we have also flagged up our concern, I'm sure that this is a part of that whole discussion, what he had referred to. Uh, uh, the other thing, that actually I feel that, uh, there was a question which was asked, by a reporter, and then he asked that, how do you see the China's incursion into India's territory? What's your take on that? Now, now here's the catch, and this actually answer from Zelensky will give you the exact answer why India is now, will be now reluctant to broker a peace between Ukraine and Russia. He has given a very lengthy answer. Zelensky has given a very lengthy answer. If I can paraphrase that, he was basically saying that any country, if including China, if they are trespassing others territory, then the other country also have all the right, and I'm with them to kind of support, and with them. But that answer was something which I would say was very ambiguous. There was no clarity on that answer. This answer was about yes or no kind of an answer, and it is the same. And he was carefully balancing between China and India, and that's why, it is something kind of a kind of a contradiction between his ideology, when he says that India should not have a balancing act between Russia and Ukraine. But when it comes to India and China, even President Zelensky was having this similar kind of approach. That was a one, and this was not the standalone event. Uh, when a reporter has asked him what's his views on Israel and Palestine war, again he has not given any and he has not given any clear cut answer. It was more an ambiguous answer, and and he has actually said that, I am we have to balance the relation between Israel and Palestine and all. So I believe, so there's a kind of a contradiction that I want to kind of refer to, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as I would say, as sharp as an observant kind of a person, would have caught it at the very beginning, that there are different yardsticks for India and China, for Israel and Palestine, and there's a different yardstick for Ukraine and Russia. So this will not actually help in any kind of a deal of peace between the two nations, and that is one of the reason that that actually has exposed, if I can use that word, it's not a nice word, but if I can say that exposed the ideology and approach of Mr. Zelensky, and it has given India, and all the more reasons to not to not play any kind of important role all by itself, until unless India is forced to or has been requested by the two nations, right? It is very important that the two nations who are in conflict, both sides, they should be agreeing to agreeing towards the peace broker, the peacemaker, and certainly, until unless Ukraine is not ready or Russia is not ready, India has no business, and India should not interfere in their internal affairs, I would say. just for the explanation. So that's something which in which Mr. Narendra Modi is very clear. Now this war is not between Ukraine and Russia, and a lot of people believe that the war is the Ukraine is a proxy. Ukraine is a proxy between USA and Russia, so that the war doesn't escalate too much high. Because if USA and Russia they entered into a war, then until unless the winner is not decided, the war they will not stop because of their long historical conflicts and and a background. So neither Russia will want to go back, nor America would want to go back, and both are a nuclear armed. One of the both are having the world's topmost army, largest army, loads of nuclear weapons, nuclear arsenals. So just to so that they do not go into a war directly, Ukraine has been used as a proxy. And there is some truth in this. Remember what was the main reason for Ukraine to go into war with Russia? Russia never wanted any NATO army on its border. That was Russia's position, and that time the West has propped up Ukraine to get into to become a member of NATO, and Russia was opposing that tooth and nail. But unfortunately, no worries. But unfortunately, even now, 2 years after the war, India is still Ukraine is not a member of NATO, and I don't think there is any talks or any kind of a discussion that's are happening around inducting Ukraine to NATO membership. That was the most important and critical point of war, and even 2 years after the war, there is no discussion around it, and people might have forgotten that as well. So that is something which is very important for the world to see, that how the goalpost has shifted, how the main root cause of the war has shifted from being a member of NATO to nobody's talking about NATO. So Russia, Ukraine has become a kind of a proxy to Ukraine. Ukraine has become proxy to Americans, aggression towards Russia, and somehow President Zelensky is in no mood to understand, is no mood to believe that he has to cede his ego in some way. And same with Mr. Putin, because in a war there is no winner, by the way. Even if Zelensky is able to save his sovereignty, first of all, there is no match between the two nations, by the way. Russia has got a very big army, and Ukraine is just surviving because of the aid and support from the Western nation. And how long the Western nation will keep supporting? uh, by the way, uh, uh, you know, U.S. Congress has already given has already approved $100 billion of aid to Ukraine. Uh, so Ukraine is basically is recharging his wealth, by the aids and supports given from these guys, from the Western nations. And this will not continue for long, because this is a very unsustainable way of supporting anybody. Sooner or later, Mr. Zelensky has to come to a peace table, because Russia right now has become economically more strong because of oil, for sure. And also Russia is a very big country. So even if today, if Ukraine has taken, let's say, 1150 square kilometer of course region of Russia or Ukraine, whatever, but they have advanced to that region, Russia will allow them to come, actually. To be honest, Russia has always done that. Russia will allow them to come in, and at the same time they'll keep cutting off all the logistical supply of ration, food supplies, medical supply, ammunition supply, and that will actually be the end. So the Ukrainian army will get further deeper into the Russian border, but ultimately they will lost all the support from the ground, from the main ground. Ukrainian government, and ultimately Russia will win the war. So Russia has got a lot of wealth, lot of patience, lot of big territory uh, to show more patience. By the way, so Russia has not, by the way, has not gone full fledged in a war. It is very difficult to understand that Russian army can you know Russian army can be defeated so easily. It's something which is unthinkable. And Russia has a nuclear weapon, by the way, as well. So even if the Ukrainian and no one, I am sure no one, not USA or no Russia, they would want to go for a nuclear situation, kind of an escalation. uh, so eventually, sooner or later, they need to come to a table. And Prime Minister Modi wanted to kind of give this message that sooner you do, the lesser you will have lesser damage you will face, you will suffer. But unfortunately, what I also understand, what I also feel from Mr. Zelensky's press conference, that although he's a charming man, he's a nice guy, but he is hell bent on one thing, that I'm going to save my territory. Now, as long as he is getting the support, I mean, he is not thinking about the future, to be honest, or he's thinking. I mean, he has definitely talked about the future, the rebuilding, which he has said that we want to have a good trade relation with India, a good trade relation with India, and definitely, I'm looking to rebuild the country. But my primary target, my primary, but my priority right now is to save my country. So I'm sure that he is not giving a lot of a thought towards rebuilding his country, and which of course is not possible unless you don't have a static, stable borders, right? Uh, so Narendra Modi might have thought that you know this guy is not willing to cede any of his ego, or he's not willing to, or he has got a precondition which are difficult to meet. Before I can convince him to come to a table, a dialogue table. And Modi also understands the role of the foreign aids that he receives, and the proxy, being proxy of America. So Narendra Modi understands all these things, and I'm sure that this is a kind of that moment when Narendra Modi might have given it a completely is might have cleared the air from his side, that he is not going to be a brokering a peace between the two nations. He is more happy to play a one-to-one relation with each of them, with Russia, with Ukraine, as an individual level, at a state, a nation-to-nation level, rather than becoming a kind of a leading some effort towards peace. That is something which is pretty much evident. By the way, Ukraine has also lured India in one way. There was one question which one reporter has asked about the defense trade between India and Ukraine. Knowing that Ukraine was something which is at war. Initially, I thought that this is a little bit a difficult question. This is something which is a little bit insensitive question, and maybe President Zelensky would not be happy to answer that. But I was surprised that President Zelensky was very happy to answer that, and he said that I am happy to have a very good trade relation with India from a defense perspective. Our they can come, their company can come to India, our company can go to India. So he said that I'm willing to do all that thing. And then he has actually made a very big announcement. He has said that if India is ready to shun the oil from US, from Russia, although he has not said about the oil especially, but he has said that if India is willing, then I am going to give a very big deal to India on defense manufacturers, on defense side, on defense trade. So that is something which he has kind of given allurement to India. I'm sure that India is not going to pick that up. At least not in recent time, not in recent future. But that was something which actually tells that how much President Zelensky is putting blame to Indian oil import from Russia as a major cause of war between India and Russia. He has, by the way, he's also made a contradiction to his own statement. On one hand, said that he had said that India and Russia are having, India is fueling in a way this war by by billions of dollars that India pays to Russia in exchange of oil. But at the same time, he said that, and that is actually that money is actually helping the Russia to go into a war. Otherwise, if India stop doing that, the war will come to an end. But at the same time, he also says that Vladimir Putin is a kind of a is a dangerous man. He's a killer. He is not going to stop the war at any cost. So, if you are saying on one hand that Putin will not stop the war at any cost, on the other hand, you are saying that if India stops, buying oil from Russia, the war will stop. I guess these two are very contradicting statements. Uh, so yes, what I understand is that though India has actually spoken about. Mm, has India has reiterated its commitment towards a peaceful solution, and India wants the world to be a more safer and peaceful place where trades are flourishing, where cultures are flourishing, where more people to people contacts are there, connects are there. So India has definitely advocated that. India has reiterated that, but unfortunately, India has also realized the fact that India has no business in making in leading a broken peace efforts between Ukraine and Russia, and this is something which India has kind of showed and displayed in no unequivocal terms. So I guess after this visit, the discussion about India can become a peacemaker between the two nations should be stopped. And Russia and Ukraine, they are still at war, unfortunately, at the time when we are speaking. And Russia is after the Kursk advancement of Ukraine, Russia must be preparing to retaliate in a big way. I hope the war ends as soon as possible. Once again, I want to wish Ukraine's Independence Day, all Ukrainians on this Independence Day, and let me know what do you think about my observation and my analysis of this whole event, and let me know if you have any feedback. I would love to hear that. Thank you very much. Stay tuned.